We were actually right. Banks are fully coming into crypto. First, they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. Draper, it's the same model every single time. Where you landed is regulation and joining phase. A lot of people ask me, am I early? Am I late? You're right on time. You're not early. You're not late. You're right where you need to be during the biggest transition of wealth in history. Now, here's the caveats. Here's how people get wrecked. Number one is they come in trying to get rich quick. Number two is they believe the hype. And number three, they don't have a system. What I'm here to do is to be honest and open with you guys on exactly what I'm doing. And number two is to educate you on how I make my decisions. So I told people that number one, by 2025, banks are going to be able to custody your crypto. Those rules have passed. I also told people that we're going into a new blockchain technology infrastructure where banks are going to be begging to custody your cryptocurrency, where they are going to be begging you to invest some of your crypto with them. And we are going to go into a new, fully restructured financial system by 2030. Now it's not conspiracy, it's not tinfoil hat. We are now in the emergence of TradFi, traditional banking, into DeFi. So you had the opportunity to figure out on your own through your own research on which companies do you think will survive. You have an opportunity to invest in the new infrastructure, whether it's AI, cryptocurrency, precious metals, rare earth minerals. There's so many different things you can do right now to position yourself in the new world order. That's what we're doing. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to share with you guys the facts, figures, numbers, logic, and then we're going to work together to educate ourselves on where we think this economy is going. I will always, always, always be very transparent with you on exactly what I do. I share my portfolio, the percentages, everything, not financial advice. I think it's just better that I share with you exactly what I'm doing. I'm not paid by any cryptocurrency company. I've never paid to promote a token ever. The only paid partnership we have is I Trust Capital because we use them. We actually use them at a deep level. I actually store my Wyoming LLC, family crypto treasury, and assets at I Trust Capital institutional grade custody. That is the only partnership we have. Everything else I own, and I share with you guys exactly what I do. The era of authenticity is here. Okay, pay attention, guys. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you guys is Cointelegraph posted this insight. Since 2000, every major world currency has, this is crazy, has lost between 51 to 96% of its purchasing power. Just let that digest in before I go to the next thing, okay? Every major world currency has lost 51 to 96% of its purchasing power. So before we continue on, think about that. Do you really think logically, let's use logic, not hype, that this old system's going to survive? We're in a fiat system. We're in a fake currency system. There's nothing backing the currency. You are in the middle of a transition into a new type of monetary system. Okay, so that's really important to digest. That's why I focus on deflationary assets that have fixed supply, and I move my US dollar, which is trash, into things that actually beat inflation. Okay, so this was huge news yesterday. Just in, White House officially nominates pro-Bitcoin Kevin Warsh to be the new Fed Reserve Chair. We are fully going to be heading into Reaganomics now. What is Reaganomics? You have to study historical patterns. We ended a 36-year cycle, which Reaganomics kicked off, right? He was deregulation, public and private sector coming together, low interest rates, and massive amount of production, okay? Trump got very wealthy during Reaganomics. He was opening up his casinos. Deregulation really helped him build an empire. Okay, now the Trump family, this is your first hint, the Trump family has built more, it will build and gain more wealth just from their crypto ventures than they will their whole career in real estate in the next couple of years. Okay. Eric Trump, which we're going to go to that post next. Eric Trump was getting debanked. Obviously, the whole family was getting debanked in 2021. And they said, F you to the system. They created World Liberty Financial, American Bitcoin, and I'll break that down and I'll share with you guys the logic behind my portfolio. Okay. But this is huge, guys. So Kevin Warsh is the top pick for Trump. And now the White House approved the nomination. And so he is pro Bitcoin. And he is probably going to come in and lower interest rates dramatically. So get prepared for that. Okay. I do want to start with this statement here from Eric Trump. And then I'm going to go into the facts, figures, numbers, logic. One of the banks officially got this is crazy. This is why the post, or excuse me, the thumbnail says, we did it. We were right, guys. We were right. People thought I was crazy when I said banks were going to come into crypto because you were indoctrinated and they beat it into your brain. They beat, and a lot of you watching this too are still struggling with this. They purposely beat it into your brain that Bitcoin is a fraud, that it's used for money laundering. Why on earth would you use Bitcoin when it's on a blockchain? Criminals are going to use cash. You can't track it. If I walk cash over to you, if I walk cash across the street and I hand it to somebody, there ain't nobody tracking that. Like, how would they know that I gave you cash? They don't know. Why the hell would a criminal use cash? I mean, why would they use it's on a blockchain, right? Do some use it? Of course. But the likelihood of them using cash versus Bitcoin, it doesn't make sense. It's not even logical. They do this stuff because they want you looking the other way. And I promise you, when you wake up, okay, Bitcoin only has 21 million, 5% of supplies left. That's it. We went from 0 Bitcoin treasuries in 2020 to well over 120 Bitcoin treasuries. And in the top 20, you got Michael Saylor, Strategy B. BlackRock is the number 3 holder. And I got a really, really deep video coming out. Next week, they're going to be mostly education. I'm actually traveling to Peru. So you'll see the same outfit all next week while we're the same shit every day. But my videos will be all education next week because I'll be gone, disconnected. You'll see my videos still come out. They're pre-recorded. I'll be it's going on a spiritual journey, but I'm doing some deep education with you guys, kind of showing you what I talk about inside the academy. But guys, think about that. Think about that. Out of the Bitcoin treasuries, Michael Saylor, number 1. BlackRock is the number 3 holder in Strategy B. You got XXI, number 3 Bitcoin treasury. Cantor, connected to XXI through 21 Capital. Cantor, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, his son, Brandon Lutnick, is running Cantor. Because it's all connected. You go down the road a little bit, you got Trump Media is climbing up the ranks as Bitcoin treasuries. You go down the road a little bit, you got ABTC, American Bitcoin, Eric Trump, my number 1 stock holding. That is climbing up to number 17 Bitcoin treasuries. He had 0 Bitcoin last April in 2025. I think they're coming up on over 6,500 Bitcoin. You got Grant Cardone now coming into Bitcoin, right? They're mixing real estate with Bitcoin. Guys, it is the future of the monetary system. So the elites now are trying to get their hands on Bitcoin because it's the most scarce asset in the world. So I'm going to read this, and I'm going to share with you some of the things transpiring with banks, and then we'll go into my portfolio. So he said, let me make this very clear. Big banks, think JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, etc., are lobbying overtime to block Americans from getting higher yields on their savings, while trying to block any rewards or perks from being given to customers. The banks and others pay rock bottom rates on standard savings, 0.01%, 0.05% APY, even as the Fed pays 4% or more. This massive spread fuels record profits, with almost none passed back to the customers, everyday depositors. Okay, so think about this. On my USDC on Coinbase, I'm earning 3%. Why the fuck would I store my cash at Wells? We have Wells Fargo Bank, and we have 6 companies. We run a lot of money through Wells Fargo, and we have higher balances because we have 32 team members and payroll and all that stuff. On my personal side, my bank account is empty. It comes in, I'm out into assets. I'm out into Bitcoin. I'm out into XRP. I'm out into silver. I'm out into my insurance policy. It's going out into something that's going to, I'm not going to let them make, they pay me 0.01%, 0.05% when they're making 7% on a home mortgage, 6 to 7% on a home mortgage, 6%, excuse me, 7 to 8% on an auto loan, 23% on a credit card. They have zero fractional reserves now. They don't have to hold any of your money in the bank. There's zero money, guys. You got to wake up to this reality. Today, the banks are desperately targeting crypto and stable coins where platforms pay 4 to 5% yields and rewards. The American Banking Association and other lobbyists are spending millions trying to ban or restrict those yields via bills like the Clarity Act, crying fairness, and using words like stability, when is it really about protecting the low rate monopoly? Oh, sorry. I should have changed my voice inflection there. So they're saying about stability. Of course, stability. I'm an example. Okay. We run millions through the Wells Fargo's accounts. Okay. My personal accounts are empty. I have some money in there for emergencies, but I move it over. My spending, I move it over. So every single week, this is what I do. And I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just telling you what I do. Every day I buy Bitcoin and XRP. Okay. Every time the markets drop, I have money sitting in the stablecoin. I move it into my stablecoin, and then boom, I buy when the markets drop, and then I move it over to institutional grade custody from whatever's legacy, right? If they would pay me 4 to 5% or 3%, maybe I'd leave some cash there. Well, why would I do that? Why? Well, it doesn't make any sense. And so this is what's happening. Of course, it's like a modern day bank run. That's why they don't want it to happen. You have to understand what is actually happening. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can read it. But this is what's happening in your banking system right now. So as you're looking this way, right? The war narrative, the files, all this stuff, you have no idea behind the scenes that there's a massive tectonic shift in the banking system. But trust me, they will invite you in when they're able to profit from it. So there's this weird moment in time right now where you can position yourself, and I positioned myself, and it freed our family financially, and it's about to build generational wealth for our family over the next 5 to 6 years because we positioned ourselves in where the banks are going to land, where we believe the banks are going to land based on the technologies, the blockchain case. So that's how you do your research. Okay. So this is where we get to more of us as a group. We were all right. You were right. Stay strong, hold. Just in Bitcoin exchange, Kraken becomes the first crypto bank to receive a Federal Reserve master account. This makes Kraken the first digital asset bank in the US history to gain direct access to the Federal Reserve's payment infrastructure. I thought crypto was a fraud, guys. Why, if it's a fraud, why would they give Kraken access to the Federal Reserve? Got to wake up, family. You got to get out of you got to change your surroundings too. If you're around people that are, if you're around people that you have to try to convince, right? I'm not going to go into oh yeah, let me just go. I'm on one, man. So these next few videos are going to be great. Okay. So and let me just get through the news, and I'm going to bring you guys on the screen and do my rant. Revolt applies for U.S. National Bank Charter, which would give direct access to Federal Reserve System, FDIC, insured deposits. We know that Ripple, National Trust Bank, they applied to be a bank charter. Okay, you got things like introducing Ripple Treasury, powered by GT Treasury guys. Let's go on a rant here. Let's get you guys back on the screen. Okay, so your environment is extremely, 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 and this is where the era of my life that I'm in. I call it the katana blade era of my life. Like I am cutting people, places, things off that are not feeding the family and the ecosystem. One of my favorite things, there's many favorite things about the Bible and Jesus' stories, and I'm paraphrasing, please, is Jesus sitting with his disciples, right? And God, he's such a great leader. It's just I love what Joe Rogan said recently. He's like, listen, if you follow the story of Jesus Christ, you're going to be a pretty good person, right? There's so many great stories in the Bible. So maybe if you're not a Christian, or you believe in Jesus Christ, just start reading the Bible and start reading it from a context, in a lens of an owner's manual. That's how I started. I'm gonna go back to the story in just a moment, but I really want to share with you guys my testimony on how Jesus Christ changed my life. But let me tell that story, and then we'll go back to my testimony here. I'm all over the place right now. So he's sitting with the 12 disciples, and they say, your mother and brother outside. He said, they're not my mother and brother, therefore they do not think like me. Many of you are making financial decisions for your own family, your household, based on people who are not doing shit with their life. Okay. You can't take advice from your grandparents and your parents that aren't able to pay their bills. Okay. If you're talking about financial, if you're taking advice from somebody, you need to make sure that they're living and breathing it. Okay. One of the greatest places is the library. That's where I got my wisdom from. The Bible, the wisdom of King Solomon, the richest man in Babylon. And I just built a system. That's how I invented Capital DR. I started to build a system. Cash flow quadrant, rich dad, poor dad. And I started to study economic cycles like Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. But I do want to bring up my testimony with Jesus Christ because I'm actually heading on a spiritual journey, and I think my brain is starting to get ready for it. But before I leave, and then all the rest of the videos are going to be pre-recorded for the next 9 days. I'll be in a garden in Peru. But I have a lot of people that follow my channel that I do interact with that are still um, struggling to find their way, right? And my own personal testimony with Jesus Christ was I attempted suicide on December 18th, 2006, and I had no idea I was going to talk about this right now. This is coming from spirit, I guess, but I just want to share this because some of you may be struggling with this. I had no introduction as a child to God, Jesus Christ. My family, we didn't go to church, went to funerals. I was baptized Catholic. I was told I was a Catholic, and I never was taught what that meant. I never went to church. We never prayed. God was not brought into the family ecosystem, right? Parents didn't, nothing wrong with what they did. It just was never talked about. We didn't pray. My dad didn't lead that way. And I don't know why he chose to not lead that way, but that's just, I guess it just skipped that generation. So I thought Christmas was Santa Claus and Easter was Easter Bunny, right? So I had no exposure to Jesus Christ. I had no thought of anything outside of myself. Everything was worldly to me. And some stuff happened to me as a child too that really messed up my subconscious programming. So here I am, this adult in this brave world. And I was really fucked up, man. I was really fucked up from the things that happened to me as a child. And, I was trying to navigate through those. And, I didn't really have any good coping skills. And I ended up getting addicted to opiates. And it was during my bodybuilding career. I was a competitive bodybuilder. I'll take that, just use that word very loosely, career in my own mind of trying to become a bodybuilder. Did a lot of shows, did 23 bodybuilding shows from like 19 years old. I was 20 years old to 31. Yeah, around 31 years old, man. 23 bodybuilding shows, trying to chase this esoteric thing outside of myself, right? And I got addicted to opiates due to a leg injury. And about 3.5 years later, on December 18th, 2006, I attempted suicide due to a massive opiate addiction. It was just, I had lost everything. I was just destroyed. And right before I attempted suicide, and I say committed suicide because John Vasquez died. That's why I call myself JV. I'm very proud to be John. That's why I'm named after both John Joseph, named after both my grandpas. I'm proud of my name, but John Vasquez died. That dude died, and that's committed suicide. And JV was born, which is the new version of myself. So, but before I attempted suicide, what time is it? I'm going to tell this whole story. I prayed. I'd never prayed in my life, never been taught how to pray. And so those of you who see my prayers on Twitter or X or whatever, it means a lot to me. When people say pray in your closet, nah, I'm going to put them on Twitter, X. If it can help anybody, it's how I feel. It's what I want to say. But prayer changed my life. I knelt down before I took a massive amount of opiates and I said, "Dear Father God," and I'm not even going to say the prayer because I'll start getting emotional. And the context was I apologized to my mother. Please forgive me. Asked for forgiveness. And I was like, who was I talking to? So think about that for just a moment. This is my own testimony. But who was I talking to? Like, I had no exposure to, I'd never read the Bible. I had never been taught how to pray. I'd never been exposed to Jesus, never been talked to about God, never taught about God. So in that moment, who was I talking to? Why in my lowest moment by myself in my office, I ran a business back then. I locked the door, blew up a mattress, blew up a blow up mattress because I didn't want my mom to find me on the ground dead. I wanted her to find me. I was trying to, so I put a bunch of, I was doing injectable painkiller. And so anyways, so I loaded a bunch of needles. And so, but who was I talking to? Why instinctively at my lowest point in my life where I felt like nobody in the physical world was there for me. Nobody's fault. It was my own self-induced trauma. And in that moment, who was I talking to? Like, why all of a sudden when I say, "Dear Father God," I knelt down on my knees and I looked up slightly and I started praying. Who taught me? Like, does that make sense to you? And then I go into this self-induced coma or whatever it was, and I got a phone call from my mom, and she said it was wild. My mom had no idea. She woke me up from an attempted suicide. I thought I was dead. I was like, my first thought was, "This is crazy." This is how negative my mind was. The first thought was like, you can't even kill yourself, right? So my mom introduced me to a book called The Secret. So God knew I wasn't ready for the Bible. The secret thoughts become things. That's how this whole journey started. And it's been a wild journey from December 18th, 2006, been almost 20 years, been up and down. I went to a non-denominational Christian church, and I felt, I got into like a Bible study, and I felt kind of condemned, like, because I have severe dyslexia. And so that's why I mispronounce words and blah, blah, blah. And I can't, my brain has trouble. My brain does a logical circuit. Like I can remember, it's weird. I have really bad dyslexia, but my brain is very logical. It can tie things together and I can verbalize it, but I can't. I struggle to spell basic things. I struggle with like math and things like that. And so my point behind that is I don't do good at memorizing Bible verses. Like if I ever have to do, like we do ads sometimes when I do scripts, it's really hard for me. If I can just speak like this, we're good, right? It's more that authentic, just letting it come out. So I was in this Bible study, and one thing that I really struggled with, I'm just gonna keep going here because I want to tell you guys this. One thing I really struggled with was memorizing. And so I was with these guys, and I'm like, I'm observing, and they were so good at the Bible. I mean, they were so good at the Bible verses. They would post them on their Facebook, and then but I was observing their life and how they lived, how their family was, and the things that they did, and the things that they talked about outside of the Bible study, right? And I'm like, and I remember one day I was just like, okay, because I was struggling with it, and they're like, "Oh, they were kinda judging me because I wasn't getting it down and I wasn't able to articulate it like they would. I was like, "Can I ask you guys a question?" And this is why I walked away from that. It wasn't the church, it was just my own experience in that moment, so I kinda got disillusioned with it. Um, and I was like, "Listen, so, like, you guys are really good at Bible verses, but you're not really living this in your life." So it made me really turned off. And so I called him out. We got in this little, heated argument. I'm like, but you say this, you're so good at Bible verses, but your actions, I'm like, is this what being a Christian's all about? So I left and I just stopped going to church. And then I went through this journey. And maybe why I'm saying this is I'm going back to Peru, to go through my experience. And I'm going solo this time. And I just need to sit. It's time. It's a really big time in my life right now. I'm turning 50, and I really, really need to sit and really, really lock in on what the rest of the life is going to look like, especially with what we built. And I want to, I want to lead this properly. I want to make sure that it helps as many people in humanity as possible. And so I left that thing, and then I started to find my way through all these different things. And so this is about my testimony with Jesus Christ. And I'll get back to it. And I started to go down all these pathways, right? I started looking at plant medicines, going through all these things, and I really got lost, man. I really did. I went to Peru in 2019. I did ayahuasca, I did San Pedro, and I did some other things. And I was just like, and then I started going down all these pathways and the emerald tablets and da 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 da. And I went, I just started going deeper and deeper, and then reading all this other stuff. And I'm like, I just got lost. I really got lost. I'll be honest with you guys. And 2023, um, we were really seeing a lot of success. We've been at business for a while, man. We started to see a lot of success, and I still felt like the things I was going the further I went outside the Bible, because the Bible for me in that moment in time was hard to stay focused on. It was more of the fluff stuff outside of it, like just go. You guys know what I'm talking about. As you go further and further out, and all the magical woo, and it's like it wasn't making me feel grounded, right? And I had a really bad leg injury in 2023, which is crazy because how things cycle. I got addicted to opiates because of a leg injury 25 years earlier that started 24 years. I don't remember the exact timeline, 24 years that started the opiate addiction. And 2023, I tore my bad quad tear, right? So here I am, I get presented opiates, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening, right? And I was in pain. I mean, I could barely walk. Some of you, I've been here, you've seen me go through that journey. I gained like 40 pounds. And I have this red cap opiate sitting there. I remember staring at it, and I'm like, no, man, no, 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 no. Finally, my financial world is coming together. My physical world was well, but my spiritual walk was weak, man. And I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys. And I was like, I know why this happened to me. I had to sit for 6 months at home, and I did my videos and stuff, and I had to sit for 6 months at home. And if you want to meet God, you want to meet God, get bored. You want to meet God, go sit in a garden in Peru with no technology, no phone, and just sit. And you want to see how committed you are, sit there and listen to your thoughts. Sit there and ask God for wisdom. And I realized that I had no principles, I had nothing that I stood for, I had nothing that I ran my decisions through. I was just living for the world, trying to figure this out, the social media influence, whatever this shit is, whatever this is. And I did a few things. I started to go, I was going deep into other things and stuff. And I started to ask God for wisdom. I was like, God, give me wisdom, give me wisdom, give me wisdom, give me wisdom, not wealth, wisdom. And then I built a principle model for my principles, for business integrity, honesty, uncompromising belief in God. I believe in God with all my heart. And then I felt this urge. I'm like, I really need to share my testimony with God, right? And then I started to really find Jesus Christ in my heart. And I do believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and that he is God in the flesh. I believe that. And I believe that God came through Jesus Christ to die for our sins, to help us awaken our DNA to the way, the truth, and life. That's what I truly, truly believe. I believe Jesus Christ did die on the cross for our sins. That's what I choose to believe. I believe it unequivocally that Jesus Christ is King. That's what I believe. And through my testimony is why I believe that, not because I'm a biblical scholar. I will get torn apart by a biblical. There's many smart people that I've met that are really good at articulating, but that's not why I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in Jesus Christ because of the experience I've had with Jesus Christ. When I started believing in God and giving God everything, like saying, God, this is yours, making my decisions in alignment with God, okay, praying for wisdom, not wealth, wisdom, building my principle model from 2023 to, as I sit today, 2026, my life has radically, radically, radically transformed. My wealth has increased tenfold. I attracted a phenomenal, phenomenal partner. Our businesses are thriving. We're eating well. Our families are eating well. Our ecosystems are well. Our customers are doing well. And what happened was is we actually started to build real systems, real processes. And what happened in my heart is peace. Do I get stressed? Yes, but I feel peace. Do I get anxiety sometimes? Of course. We run 6 companies. But I'll tell you what, this trip to Peru is different for me this time. This trip to Peru, I have no idea who's going to come back from this trip. But this trip to Peru, usually you go down there and it's like, what are your never have expectations, but what are your intentions? My intentions are to truly just sit in my own shit with God and let God speak to me. Now, some of you, this may be turning off, but this is my life. This is why I believe in Jesus Christ. Because when I've sat in Peru and there's a gentleman named Chase that I go sit with, and I'll share his documentary with you guys. They did a documentary about him. And I learned a lot about God from Chase. To see this man who honors God, but he loves Jesus Christ, and the way he leads his family is through God. And I got to give Chase the credit because that's where a lot of my love for God has come from. Just to see a man, not who knows Bible verses, not who tells you that God is real, not who tells you to believe in Jesus Christ, but you can see the embodiment in this man's soul. The way he stares at the sky, the way he honors the plants, the way that he sits with the medicine, the way that he holds himself, and the humility that this man lives by is remarkable. So I'm grateful to have a man like that in my life, to see that absolute humility, to see that the honoring God and honoring Jesus Christ, and somebody who is not here to teach other people, but to listen and to ask questions to get us to self-reflect. So as I go on this journey to Peru, I wanted to share that I did it last time to reintroduce myself to you guys. This platform is not about trying to get likes and followers for me at all. I'm completely disillusioned by that. I post, I ghost, I try to read as many positive comments as I can because none of this we're taking with us, guys. All these things you're shooting for, the XRP to 589 and blah, 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 the thousand guys, all that shit's temporary. But what is forever is your soul. For what forever is what you take with your soul. So if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, you don't have to go to a fancy church or a fancy building. You can do it right here. Right here after you get off this, what we call it, a podcast or YouTube, you can give your life to Jesus Christ. You can invite Jesus Christ into your heart. Jesus Christ isn't coming out of the sky. Jesus Christ is risen. It's not has risen. Jesus Christ has risen. And that's why we cannot keep his name out of our mouth. And, there's these things out there that say, there's 1,000 different versions of Jesus. Of course there is, because it's real. It's in our DNA. The story's been repeated over and over and over and over again because it's the way, the truth, and the life. It is in you. Your faith has made you healed. Pick up your mat and walk. So as we sit here today, we are going through an awakening, a massive awakening in humanity. Bible sales are through the roof. People are coming back to God, and maybe it's in different forms and different religions. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But one thing that does matter is that we are all children of the Most High. Every single one of us is a unique blueprint, a unique DNA. We are all children of God. And unfortunately, the human condition likes to see it differently. Remember, the devil, Lucifer, was a fallen angel. He's the prince of this world. He's not the prince of your soul. Jesus Christ is. God is. So I say all that to tell you I love you and I appreciate you with all my heart. And I felt it was necessary to talk about that because, why am I going to Peru? Because I just want to be a better father. I want to be a better CEO. I want to be a better partner. I want to be a steward of this YouTube, of TikTok, of Instagram, of X. I really, really want to continue to be a better steward of this information that's been given to me to share with you guys. And I'm super humbled by this. Like, I'm super humbled that people even watch this channel. I'm super humbled that I even get to do what I love every single day. And I'm super grateful that I get to do this. So if I haven't told you, thank you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the positive comments, and thank you for the negative comments as well. I don't take those lightly. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I get the different lenses that people have on and how you view me. Some people love me and some people absolutely hate me. And, I used to hate myself. But what I won't do is I won't stop. I won't stop honoring Jesus Christ and God because that's my personal testimony. God is real. Jesus Christ is King. And I hope that through my testimony, you can find that in your heart as well. So no matter what religion you are, where you live in this world, I just want to tell you I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm wishing you an awesome, awesome week. And I'll see you guys about in a week. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Let's go.